Hi and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to post a video based on, I wanted to talk about how to actually get from being overweight to actually fit and lean. And the thing is that there are so many people out there in the fitness industry who, quite frankly, have never experienced being overweight in their life. And I have. Genuinely, I have. And I've been unfit and I haven't been strong. And I felt uncomfortable and self-conscious and not confident in myself and not liking what I see in the mirror. And people who have never been overweight in their life will never understand the true struggles of actually trying to lose fat. They will never understand. And so when I see certain people who are like saying, this is the best way to lose fat, this is the best way to lose weight, they are naturally in lean bodies that have never gone through the same struggles as what someone who started off overweight. They will never understand how much hard work it actually takes to get in shape, to stay in shape, and you haven't got genetics to help you. I do find it hard to talk about my actual journey because people don't like the answer when people see a transformation and it's taken years and not just like 6 weeks. Because the truth is that that is what it takes. Because when you don't have genetics to help you, meaning that you are not a naturally lean person, meaning that you are more likely to store fat really easily, and you just don't naturally have lean muscle tissue. Everyone is different, okay? Everyone is so different, and there are people in the fitness industry who genuinely believe that genetics don't exist. And I can tell you for an absolute fact that they do. They exist and they play a part in how someone progresses. 100% facts. Because I know, because I have been through it all. I have literally gone through every phase that you can think of. And I know in my peak 20s, I have been very consistent when I actually improved and got the hang of consistency when it comes to my diet, and I was very on it with meal prep, and I was very disciplined. And I would push myself. I would train every single day. I would sometimes train twice a day, okay? I was just committed to achieving that vision that I had, that I knew was possible. Don't know where I got that vision from, but I just knew it was possible, and I didn't stop until I got there. And I have always been someone who stores fat very easily. I have been someone who's had a very sensitive body in terms of bloating and things like that, and retaining water. I have never been someone who, no matter how much water I drink, if I eat the slightest wrong thing, and I'm not saying wrong because there is no good and bad really food wise, I've improved my relationship with food that way, but I was very consistent and very disciplined that when I ate something small, like just anything, I could see it in me. I could see it compared to when I just ate very strictly. And I've always had one of those bodies where if I took time off of the gym, I would not accidentally lose weight. I would gain it. And I would also lose muscle very quickly. I mean, you do lose muscle quickly anyway. I never had the body type to naturally stay lean. Even when I've implemented good habits, even when I have mastered something, right? My body will always be this way. It just means that I have had to work harder to get to certain physiques in my life, and it's meant that I've had to get back in shape again and again and again, and I've never given up on myself. And just say when I've maybe had a setback or I have gained weight and lost muscle, I've had to be in the gym, not in the shape maybe that I had got myself in prior, and then I feel like I'm starting again because I've never had the body type, regardless of what I've ever done, diet-wise, training-wise, habits. My body has never changed that way, where I've actually had a permanent change, okay? So I'm not saying that this isn't sustainable, because it's the most sustainable way that I've ever found to stay in some form of shape, meaning just weight training. Weight training is literally key. In the initial stages, it would purely be weight loss that I achieved. And so, yes, my whole body got smaller, which I was happy with, but there was still something that just wasn't right, that just didn't make me look at myself and the way that my clothes fit. It just wasn't how I wanted it. And I knew that it wasn't fat loss. I am a millennial and I'm now 35. When I started my fitness journey, Instagram had only just come out, okay? And fitness on Instagram had only just started to get big then. So bearing in mind, we had fitness on Instagram and there was so many bodies that you would see that you would think like, you know, oh my God, they look good, whatever. Yes, most of the time it was unhealthy because everyone's body's different and you just assumed that, oh, they look like that, I can look like that, or maybe I should look like that, whatever. You would see ultra lean individuals in good shape and think that everyone can or should look like that, when everyone's body's different. But anyway, social media back then was not how it is now. I'm telling you now, there was no education, there was no value, there was just people saying, you know, putting up training videos, and that's that. They would be putting up what they eat and things like that. There would be no real education. The only real decent amount of education you would find on bodybuilding.com, on the internet. And it took a lot of trial and error and a lot of guesswork to get to where I've gotten to. And as someone who started working in gyms in my early 20s, in like 2013, and I was just naturally into everything to do with health, fitness. So I would look up things, you know, make sure that I was doing things right and just practice and trying to implement. And it's not until a PT that I was working with in the gym where the advice that I took from him and what I learned from him really changed the game. And I slowly started to understand the process, but it still took a long time for me to fully understand that pushing yourself harder with weight training is going to be the thing that actually gives you the body that you want. Because it's actually really hard. Like, I obviously understood the importance of building muscle and toning, but yeah, in the beginning stages, I genuinely still had mindset blocks of actually pushing yourself with building muscle, because I did think that I would potentially get bigger. And as someone who is naturally overweight, then you think that you just don't want to do anything that could potentially make you even bigger or not give you the result that you want. So yeah, it took me a while to get my head around that. And over time, I realized that that was the key. the key is to push yourself as much as you can and get as strong as you can with weights mostly. I did make sure that I did the cardio, but what I didn't realize is that I was doing way too much cardio in the beginning stages than what I should have been doing to achieve the physique that I wanted. I'm not really explaining properly about this whole process, but the thing is that because it's been such a long time since the very beginning, that I've gone through different phases. And so to really build that physique that is the most sustainable version and just the best version, you have to go through different phases, okay? So yes, people would say that you need to weight train however many times a week, like 4, 5, 6, whatever, however much time you've got. And then you want to eat a certain amount of protein, and then you want to be in a certain, you want to be in a calorie deficit, and that's how you lose fat. Yes, it is. But if you genuinely want to build a physique and you actually want to build curves as well, rather than just losing fat and being lean with no shape, because there's a difference. So if you want to be lean and have some shape and curves, then weight training and building muscle in certain areas can give you that shape. And so you do need to go through different phases, meaning that you might want to eat at maintenance or want to eat in a surplus to build more muscle. And it's actually quite hard mentally to go through that stage, but in the long run it's worth it, because to truly build a decent amount of lean muscle tissue, you have to push yourself with weight training, but you also have to be eating more or eating enough, and you don't do as much cardio. And then you might want to go into a fat loss phase and see how much muscle you've built, and also seeing the shape that you've got. And yeah, it is literally just an ongoing process. That's how I've gone through my journey, because I've always wanted to improve where I'm at. But there have been certain physiques that I've finally gotten to where I genuinely love what I see in the mirror. And that is the result of all of the years where I've maybe not been in good shape. Sometimes you look better from those periods where you don't look how you want to look. Okay, so it's just trusting that even though you might not like going to the gym when you don't feel like you look your best and whatever, it's part of the process. Your best physiques come from those phases. You just got to trust the process. So just a few things to help you actually build that physique over a long period of time is that you need to make sure that you're building muscle in every single area of your body. You need to be hitting every single area to be able to build muscle in your whole body, not just in your abs, like your stomach area, not just in your arms, because just training your belly or your abs to get abs, whatever, to change your body is not going to work. Just training your arms is not going to improve the way your arms look. You need to involve your whole body, meaning your legs, because it's a big muscle group and it burns way more calories when you train them, but also just in general, they're the biggest muscle group that we have. So the more muscle we have in our legs, the more muscle we have everywhere in our body, allows us to burn fat at rest more than if we have way less muscle on our body. It's not really the best video, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm just gonna be putting some stuff out there to ensure that I'm just being consistent with posting, okay? So I hope you found some useful information from this video, even though I think it's a bit all over the place really. But like and subscribe if you know more about fat loss and how to actually change your body. I will see you in the next video.